Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to AFTV. Welcome to the Fourever Arsenal podcast. See, this is why I'm not the host normally because I can't get through the intro
Sort it out,
properly.
mate. Sort it out.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
know.
Poor
It is
start.
it's a shocking start. It is just the three of us at the moment. We'll have Turkish back for the next show, but let's get into it. Arsenal won at Goodison, a 1-0 win, a clean sheet for Jordan. So I'm sure he's a very happy man. Look at that big smile. He's rubbing his hands. He's over the moon. And I'm really intrigued to talk about this because the Man United pod was all euphoria, right? The way we won it and everything. And it was more about, look, we know we've got a long way to go as a team. But hey, beating United 3-1 in that way will always feel amazing. I think there was a lot more merit to this performance. Jordan, normally we'd come to you because we haven't heard your thoughts on AFTV yet. But I want to just go to Lee first because I want to know how that came across as someone at the ground where maybe you're there so you feel the tensions more, or I don't know how you saw it. Lee, did you come away from it feeling comfortable?
It's a great point. Like, first of all, when it was 1-0 with a minute to go, I'm torn. I'm torn because I know that you two had 2-0 and I had 3-0 and I was out of the window. So now I'm thinking, do we take the 1-0 now or do we get the second goal and be relieved? You know what I mean? And what was more annoying is that I had the choice between 1-0 and 3-0 and I went 3-0. So they're the first things. But yeah, it's a real good point that you made because I actually come out. I don't know how I felt really. I felt really like, was we great? Was Everton poor? And I sort of went on to the second narrative that, wow, Everton were really poor. Well, we had all the possession, but they didn't really cause no punch and everything like that. But we had the fortune of meeting up with Kevin, and he took us into the Everton pub, and we was having a drink in there. And the Everton fans were coming up to us and saying, "Oh my God, what a good side you are! How well you kept the ball! Really." And I turned around to Kevin, and I actually turned around to one of their guys. I said, "Well, you never really looked like scoring." And both of them turned around and said, "Very difficult to score when we ain't got the ball, mate." You know what I mean? So I actually looked at it and thought, "Do you know what? We actually, of all the times we've gone to Everton." We had most of the ball, didn't we? I don't think they really had a shot to save, and so when you look actually on it, it was more of like, we're not going to score. A little bit of frustration, maybe that I actually said in my fan camp that we had to stay patient as a team and as a fan base, and I think what we did. Yeah. And in the end, yeah. Listen, I'm going to be really honest. Most teams will go to Everton and win, James. Most teams will go there and get a result. But I don't know if they get a result quite like that where it's total domination. And I've seen this happen a few times with other teams, and we give them praise for that.
Yeah.
I think so all in all, look, we've had a tough time at Everton over the last few years. There's something about Everton. I don't know if you notice it. First 10 minutes, misplaced passes, weren't playing very well. Declan Rice give the ball away more times in that game than he has all season. It's a funny place to go and win. It's a tough place to watch a game of football as well. If you've not been there, it's tough. That I have to say is they're a well organised team. And you know what? The best thing about the game, guys, for me, was the improvisation for the goal. That you can see that Arsenal studied things and said, look, that they defend very, very well from that, but they leave the edge of the box open, and we exploited that. And so from everything there, and now there's two.
There's only two of us.
There's only two, forever past, whatever it is now. Kind of so. But yeah, so from that point of view, I have to say, it's one of those games that you're not going to go mad about and go, we're brilliant and whatever. But I do think that those sort of results are the ones that make you get into top fours. I mean, it was that sort of performance. It was I don't remember Raya making, I think he made one save in the first half, correct me if I'm wrong. But it was a back pass, really. Other than that, I don't think he was bothered or touched. You know what I mean? That's away from home. That's decent.
Jordan?
Yeah, sorry about that. Some technicals there, so apologies. I heard the start and the end of what Lee was saying, so I hope I won't repeat what he was saying.
You caught the
Um,
highlights.
well done, well done, well done,
Boom,
well
boom.
done. I got a lot to say about this match. I'll try and be succinct before my internet goes mad again.
Oh no.
First of all, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. This says a lot about the kind of boring bastard that I am. I preferred that win to the United win. I actually preferred yesterday to the United win. I thought it was our best game of the season. I got the performance that I wanted. I got there's no dirty sheets out here. Got a nice clean sheet there as well. And the reason why I love this game so much was because if I'm to compare it to Man United just for a second, one of the reasons why United are in the mud and have been for so many years is because as a team, they don't know how to control games of football. Yesterday, we controlled that game from minute 1 to minute 94. Now, was it spectacular? Was it, overly exciting? No. And some would argue we could have scored and should have scored more goals. But those are the games that win titles, and those are the games that really get you in the mix. 1-0s. I keep banging on about this. Look at teams that win titles, Premier League titles. They rack up the 1-0s. 1-0 in a controlled way. We didn't just nick a 1-0 in the 88th minute. If we hadn't have scored when we scored, I had faith and confidence we would have scored at some point. Do you know what I mean? I put in the group that I think we need to score 2 goals quite quickly, bang, bang, kill the game. But it turns out I was wrong because the 1-0 was more than enough. They were never going to score. I was totally wrong. They were never going to score in that game because we had it under control. Now, we've been there. It's been reported, and we've been doing content around the fact that our record at Goodison Park in recent years is shocking. So I look back on it and watching your Tactical Insight show this week intently, James, because my question is, what was different this time? What was different this time to the lot of times that we've lost there? Be nice. And I can't put my finger on what was different this time, apart from maybe one thing. And the only thing I think was different is Declan Rice. And having someone like Declan Rice in the middle of the pitch that was a presence, that was dominant, and that countered their physical attributes in the midfield that we know a Sean Dyche team likes to have. I don't know tactically if anything was different in the particular game, but I can only think that this time we've gone there with an absolute beast in the middle of the pitch. In that first half, Declan Rice was amazing. He must have won about 8 interceptions. He was everywhere. He was brilliant in that first half. So I think that was a key reason why we won the game this time as opposed to previous times. I want to get to a few players in a little bit, but just my general thoughts on the game were I'm so happy. So happy we won that game. But not just that we won the game 1-0. It was how we won the game, especially seeing that Liverpool, City, Spurs, and United all went a goal down over the weekend, and Chelsea didn't even score. So for us to kind of be in control and get the goal, win the game, and see it out, that's the kind of performance I want to see from my team away from home.
Jordan, I couldn't agree more. And I think if you're kind of giving praise levels, if Lee was here, I think you just raised it to there. And if you hadn't done it, I would have, because not that I disagree with you, Lee, just that I came away from that feeling very much like I did the Leicester win, the 1-0 win last year. Do you remember the Martinelli goal, Trossard leading the line for the first time? And, some people went, only 1-0. Did we create that much? I went, hold on. It was 90 minutes of total control and dominance. Yeah. We were so comfortable. I'm with you, Jordan. Yeah, it took us to the 69th minute. I think that first goal should stand. We'll talk about that later. But I actually think we were just looking like we were going to score. As the game went on, with every attack, we looked more and more like we'd score. First half, I don't think we quite had that cutting edge, that fluidity. And 0-0, look, I think we deserved to be ahead, but okay, 0-0 wasn't completely utterly unfair on Everton. But I think, let me just say something about Everton right now. Their underlying numbers, because I look into all this stuff when we're doing the previews, and I've been talking to Everton fans, whatever. The 1 point in their first 12 was actually a real disservice to them and the performances they put in. They deserved to beat Wolves at home. They deserved to beat Fulham at home. They could have won away at Sheffield United. Turns out they actually lose 2 of those home games. And Yeah, but they've created chances. They've been a lot more expansive and somewhat more exciting in terms of chance creation than, the fact that they've only kind of got one draw in their first 4 games would suggest. And so Arsenal tamed that to a degree. Look, Everton were poor. Let's also say that. Everton were pretty abysmal. But I think Arsenal stopped that. What do you know of Sean Dyche when he's got a 6'3" striker, he's got packed out midfield, he's got wingers that can cross the ball, that they're going to get crossed into the box? We conceded our first corner in the 71st minute.
Yeah, great point.
That was the first corner. What undid us last year, all game. Cross, corner, cross, corner. We couldn't deal with them. 5 crosses in the game, first corner in the 71st minute. We absolutely stopped them and nullified whatever they did well because we defended so well centrally. Zinchenko, Ben White, Rice was sweeping up everything before they could even get into our half. So we kept them pinned in. Fabio Vieira, I thought, was excellent. Yeah, he wasn't creating an abundance of chance. Actually, I say that he created as much as I'd expect him to. At Goodison Park, where they're going to be deep and difficult to break down. He does his bit for the Martinelli goal that's disallowed, so nothing on him. He's brilliant in that. The amount of times he was underlapping, providing an option, getting crosses into the box, whether it was low drill cross, whether it was a floated cross. Erdegaard was then doing his thing on the right, so you had almost 2 creative 8/10s who are kind of pulling the strings and making things happen. I think the only disappointment from a player in the starting 11 was probably Nketiah. I don't think Nketiah got to the level he did against Man United and Fulham, but I mean, okay, that can happen. Saka looked nearer his best, and David Raya came in and kept things going for Arsenal. He wasn't tested from a shot-stopping perspective, but did his job in terms of cross-collection and on the ball. And I just thought Arsenal looked a really well-oiled machine. Yeah, was it a game where, we could have walked out of there with a 4-0 win? Probably not. But then I think if we were to look any more like a side that could have won 3 or 4-0, what would we have conceded the other end in terms of chances? And I think we're finding that balance a lot better now.
And you're right. I mean, a 4-0 win on paper is fun and amazing. But I look at the bigger picture, winning titles. To win titles, you have to control games. And I think a 1-0 win is the epitome of controlling a game. And not, like I said, not a smash and grab 1-0, a 1-0 where when I think of 1-0 wins, guys, I think of the Jose Mourinho, the Chelsea side, his first side, that they won 1-0, but you just knew the other team wasn't scoring. And more importantly, they knew it too. They knew it's only 1-0, but we're done. We can't get near them. And those are the sorts of performances that I think win titles. Can we just talk about David Raya, guys? Because I think that was the kind of the headline news before the game.
Let's go into it. The conversation was coming. He comes in for Aaron Ramsdale, which was a bit of a shock decision. Of course,
it wasn't for me.
Okay, go on. Well, you've introed the topic. I feel like you got some stuff on your chest.
I do, and only as far as it wasn't a shock to me because I expected there to be games this season that Ramsdale was dropped, and not dropped because he's not good or he's injured. But when Arteta's been transparent about it from the get-go. He said David Raya is going to play games, so he's not going to play games when Ramsdale is injured. He's going to play games. Agree with it or disagree with it, but Arteta feels that there should be competition in every part of the field. His logic is, why is it acceptable to have competition for a striker, but not for a goalkeeper? Now the counter is, but your goalkeeper needs to feel comfortable. You need to have that kind of like that regularity of a goalkeeper and back five, which I understand. But he feels, no, I want competition. So for me, it wasn't a shock because there was always going to be 15 games this season where David Raya would just be put in. The team sheet would come out, Raya's in goal. So I wasn't necessarily like, oh my God, where's that come from? I'm hearing people now saying David Raya should start. He's better. I like David Raya, but let's have it right. David Raya did nothing in yesterday's game to show I should be starting the next game because he didn't have to. And anybody that spins that narrative is a liar. He didn't make great saves. He, commanded his box. So does Ramsdale. His kicking is brilliant. So is Ramsdale. So for me, there's no reason to keep Raya in on the basis that he was brilliant against Everton because he wasn't. I think personally, the next 2 games Ramsdale will play, the Champions League game and the Spurs game. But I'm not actually. It's a big gamble that Arteta's taking. But again, I'm prepared to back him with this one because if he believes that he needs competition in that area, if it backfires, we can jump on him 100%. And if Ramsdale loses form and confidence because of it, fair enough. But for now, I don't see the furore around, oh, Raya, Darren. It's like, I want competition. This is how it's going to be.
Well, I know, Lee, you're not overly happy. And just for context to any viewers who haven't seen the Arteta quotes, he said after the game he was annoyed at himself that on 2 occasions, he, in the past this season, has wanted to substitute the goalkeeper. So he must be talking about Ramsdale coming off for Raya, because he believed that tactically, as the game state changed, actually a change of goalkeeper in game would have helped us tactically to get over the line. Which is very interesting. I immediately thought of that Palhinha goal against Fulham, where we saw the stats when we signed David Raya that he comes out on top in terms of commanding his area. Of course, he's always done that well in terms of set pieces with Brentford. So I wonder if at 2-1 up, he ever thought, 2-1 up against 10-man Fulham, David Raya should come in. But then we've not seen this before. So he's very much reinventing the way we look at that position and the use of it. And I feel like you're not overly convinced by it, Lee.
No, I'm not. I'm going to be honest. I think maybe it's because it's old school a little bit. Like if you want to, I don't think that you need to be clever and try and you change the face of goalkeeping and all that, especially when you're not a goalkeeper. I look at it and I think to myself that I think it's going to cause problems down the line. I really do, because I don't think that I think players should be in the team on merit and be left out deservedly. I don't think that Ramsdale should be left out for if you're dropping him. I think it's unfair. I'm going to go along with Jordan. I don't think he was dropped yesterday. I think he looked at it and go, look, I've got to play Raya at one of these games. I feel that Ramsdale was here last season, so I think that he deserves the Champions League game. I've also got a feeling that maybe they're swap over in games like that. I think that Raya might play in the away games, Ramsdale in the home games. I don't know. I don't like the thing of okay, all right, if you want to do that and it's fair that you want to do that with players, then there's other players in the team that need to be treated the same. You can't treat a goalkeeper like that, and maybe not your right winger or your central defenders or whatever, and I do think that it is going to cause a problem. Like, I didn't think it caused a problem yesterday. I got no problem. I'm with Jordan on this. I've got when Raya was put in there, my first thought was he's not been dropped. He's going to play him in the Champions League game. That was my first reaction. I don't know if that's going to happen. The main thing now is get over Wednesday. My biggest thing is who's he playing goal in on that Sunday against Spurs, and I think that'd be a test. That'd be the one. If he plays Raya in that game, it means then that Raya's the number one, in my opinion. But what I see is the game against Manchester United at 1-1. Ramsdale makes a really, really important save, and has contributed. He made a save against, I can't remember who it was when we won in the last. He made a save, I think it was against Fulham. Was it Fulham? We could have actually lost the game, and he made a save right at the end. So
I think it was.
He has contributed in this season. Now, I just don't. I don't want to see untold pressure put on it. And do you know what worries me a little bit? It was in the press will jump on this. The media. Ramsdale dropped yesterday. I noticed it yesterday. I didn't think he was dropped, but everybody's saying, "Oh, he's dropped," and then Mikel coming out and saying, "Oh, I could have done this and this." I think that was more of him trying to justify it and just sort of saying, I don't think he needed to say that yesterday. I thought that was a little bit unfair. Not on Ramsdale more than anybody else. I thought I could have took him off. Well, that's not doing your confidence any good if you think like that. Footballers, I don't care, are fragile when it comes to confidence. And that. Look at Kai Havertz. You know what I mean? You're telling me that this guy who's won a Champions League, he's international and all that, is not playing without a little bit of confidence lacking? I think that he is. You know what I mean? Look at Vieira. Let's just take a look at Vieira. has been really, really struggling. But he come on in that game. He won the penalty and the pass for Eddie again. Look how his confidence has gone from that moment on. So confidence is a big thing in a player, big thing to keep him boosting. I think with Vieira yesterday, would he have had that start if he didn't have done what he done a couple of weeks ago? I don't think so. I think his confidence is up. It may be because of what's going on in training and all that. And I just feel that, I look at players and I think, right, well, okay, it was harsh on Leno going back to when Ramsdale come in, but we accepted it because Ramsdale's performances merited it. I'm going to have to say I was impressed with Raya yesterday. I know that he didn't do a lot as a shot saving and all that, but everything that he had to do, he done very, very well. Very well. There was 4 crosses that he had to come into. One that he was fouled on with that maybe that weren't as great, but we've seen Ramsdale do that. But there were 3 times that there was when you need your goalkeeper to pluck it out and just take off the pressure. He done that very, very well. You can see he's confident in his kicking and all that. I'm going to be really honest. I'm a big Ramsdale fan, but sometimes I'm a little bit worried when Ramsdale's got the ball back there. I didn't feel that with Raya. Every time he got the ball, he give it a certain presence that he was.
He looked good. He did look good.
He did look good. So I if you're going to make the decision, if you're gonna cut Ramsdale's neck, do it with a nice sharp knife, not a spoon.
I think. Sorry, John.
Go.
I actually see it the opposite. I think Arteta's quotes will have done Ramsdale a favour because I think what Arteta's saying is, I'm looking at this goalkeeping position differently to all of you. I'm looking at it as like any other player on the pitch where we can mix it up what we need mid-game and we can go game to game and change it. So no, Ramsdale hasn't been dropped. I just needed Raya for this one. And I think that's better than going, well, he did really well in training and we want to give him a chop because then that's like, that is more of a dropping. I've gone for the person I think is better. So I actually think the quotes would have done Ramsdale a favour, whether he means it or not. I mean, okay, that's another question. But I think he does.
In the same way that he's picked Nketiah yesterday over Jesus, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Nketiah is better than Jesus. It just means for this particular game, tactically, I think Nketiah is going to help me get 3 points more than Jesus. If you ask Arteta secretly in the dark room, in the quiet room, 1-on-1, who do you think's better? He'll say Jesus.
Well, actually, can I give a better example? Sorry, John.
Go on.
I cut you so mid-point there, but because I think Trossard's a better example because starts against Fulham. Well, actually, has a great preseason. Doesn't start the first few games. Starts against Fulham is so bad. He's actually taken off at half time. Then we're chasing a goal against Man United. Chasing a goal, remember? Reece Nelson, Fabio Vieira, Gabriel Jesus. They all come on. Trossard, I don't think, touched the pitch against. If I'm not mistaken, Trossard and Smith Rowe didn't come on against Man United. Martinelli comes off against Everton. You're thinking Reece Nelson. Kai Havertz, maybe you could switch something up with Vieira wide. You're looking at maybe Jesus can come on and they'll do something. He goes to Trossard, who didn't even get a minute against United. And again, what's the reason? He probably thinks Trossard's what I need. It's a tight pitch. It's going to be a low block, and I need some quality if it lands to him. Actually, funny enough, Trossard wasn't that great until his goal, and then he really came alive. But that's slightly perplexing. So I'm like, Arteta, I don't get it. You didn't even look at him as a solution against Man United. You took him off above anyone else against Fulham, but he was your answer in the 25th minute or whenever it was when Martinelli came off. So he's keeping us guessing, Mikel.
Go on,
do you know that's a fantastic point.
It is.
Fantastic point you say there because, there were options yesterday for exactly what you said. If you want to get Jesus on, you go. And do you know what makes that? I feel what makes that performance better yesterday than probably what we give it credit for. I know you guys have. Is that I felt that he played that game and picked the team and went through that game with Wednesday and Sunday in mind. For instance, I bet you I bet every bit of money that I've got now, Jesus plays the next 2 games.
Same.
I think so too.
So he looked at it and thought, I tell you what, I can play Eddie up front against Everton, get him 90 minutes, and we can still win this game. The 2 games next are going to be a little bit different, so I'll play Jesus. Martinelli, by the way, is going to be a big loss to us in the next couple of games. But I think he looked at it like that game yesterday. they're defending. We need to, we don't really need pace behind. We don't really need Reece Nelson doing that. We need someone that's going to have a little bit of trickery and all that. And I didn't think Trossard done well until he picked up the ball in the halfway line. I don't know if you remember it, and drove about 30, 40 yards. And then
to life,
and that brought him to life. So I think it was the substitutions were very, very good yesterday. I think that there was substitutions of it where I think Kai Havertz will come in for Vieira. It don't really matter how well Vieira played yesterday. I'm pretty sure Kai Havertz will play in that Champions League game. But I do think that's a great point. I think it maybe he looked in and thought, do you know what? I think if that was another game, maybe he would have put Jesus in, maybe played Vieira into that position or whatever, do you know what I mean? And not bring on Trossard. But I think that there was very much a mind of what's going on coming up as well. And do you know what, guys? We're going to have to get used to that a little bit. I think that there are going to be times when we're going to make changes in games. When I think that if you have a look at all those 3 games, what was I'm not saying that they're all as important as ever, but if you would put it on a priority, you go Spurs is the main one, then PSV, and then Everton. And I think that the team selection was based a little bit around that. And I think we're going to see that further down the line. And they're the games that are going to be tricky. For instance, Bournemouth away, we've got then Lons and then Manchester City. You know what I mean? So those sort of changes may be made again.
Well, yeah, no, go on.
Sorry, just before I know we don't move to PSV, but just very briefly going back to the David Raya thing, I found these quotes interesting, guys, because and you both articulated it really well. Why I find it fascinating. I couldn't work out if Arteta was just being really, really, if he was just being difficult and trying to overthink things and trying to be over smart by doing this. Oh yeah, I'm gonna substitute my goalkeeper mid-game and just being a little bit almost wanky about it, or if there was, as you've articulated, James, if there was genuine logic and tactical nous behind what he was saying, and you both really epitomized why I found that quote really interesting. And I probably tend to lean slightly more towards you, James, in that I don't think it's about who's better. I think it's about who can give me what I need today, as opposed to who's better. Just a couple of players I want to single out as well, very, very briefly.
No, we should. Let's give it some just a couple minutes, because some players, whether it be because you just started Nketiah, so for whether it's for praise or not, I think there are certain players we need to show some love to as well. But you started with Eddie.
I think
I didn't think that his best. But go on.
Lots of endeavour, but I think he'll be kicking himself that he hasn't taken that chance. Because I agree with Lee. I think the next 2 games, Jesus starts, and that would have been a really good chance for Nketiah. Even if he doesn't start the next 2 games, get a goal under your belt, and also just a little nod to Gareth Southgate that he didn't pick me in the week, but I'm still about here. I thought 2 centre backs were brilliant. They won pretty much every header. Yeah. I think they won every header, if I'm not mistaken. Zinchenko was brilliant before he faded. Ben White was consistent.
Zinny, I thought he was elite on the ball.
I thought he was very good until after about an hour he faded. I've praised Declan Rice already. Ben White consistent as ever. 2 players. Saka wasn't spectacular, but I gave him a lot of heat for the United game. I thought the United game he was poor. I didn't think he was good in the United game, and I gave him a lot of heat. This game, I thought he was really good. And without being spectacular, like this United game, he got an assist. But unlike the United game, he beat his man 4 or 5 times in this match. And that's what I want from my winger. Just beat your man, cross. Beat your man, get a shot off. And he did that. He was brilliant. So without being spectacular, I thought Saka was brilliant. But the player I want to single out for really high praise, in particular in this game, who I thought was the man of the match, and people find this baffling, was Odegaard. I thought Martin Odegaard in that first half was pressing like an absolute man possessed. There was one phase of play where he pressed the keeper passed it. I think Saka didn't get to his man. Odegaard got there first. That player passed it back to, I think, a centre-back. Odegaard got there first. It makes me really understand now why he was the most subbed player last year, or the most subbed captain, last year, because he's knackered. The amount of pressing he does is absolutely insane. But not only is his pressing is the leader that I want for my captain on the ball, I don't think he's quite De Bruyne level, but that is at world level. That's a high bar to match. I think he's the next one below. on the ball, this guy is absolute magic. And I thought, without again doing anything in particularly spectacular or amazing, I just think he was the person that I trusted to give him the ball and he can make something happen. He was so good yesterday. And I've always thought Saka's our best player at the club. I'm starting to now wonder if Odegaard is our most important player at the club in terms of when you need something. Saka's, I think, technically best player, but Odegaard is a guy that I look to and think, go on, be the captain, be the leader, be the guy that can drag us. I want to just give Odegaard single because he won't get a lot of credit for yesterday because he didn't do anything amazing, but I watched him and I just thought he was amazing.
Anyway. There was a moment where I almost stood up and clapped on the watch along. It was about the 89th, maybe 91st minute, and there's a ball up in the air and it's falling into midfield. And quite frankly, if he'd stuck a boot through it and smashed it forward, I'd have been all right with it. If he just got his head on it, and I'd have been okay. But what he did is he just took this wonderful first touch and then played it out wide to the right. And that was the moment I went, we've won the game. Like because he just calmed it down, and you knew Everton were going to have to do a lot of work to win the ball back off us and then get up the other end, where he could have just done something a little safer, maybe conceded possession, and we're all retreating into a shape. And he epitomized and led an Arsenal team that weren't prepared to just sit back and try and protect this 1-0 lead, that actually did try and play, that did continue to press up the pitch. And that just showed a real maturity and conviction in everything they did. I agree. He wasn't creating chance after chance after chance. He sort of looked at to be that person, but he created the chance that led to the goal. And I thought some of the interchanging on the right-hand side with White and Saka, some of the combinations, he's linking up really well with Declan Rice early on. His feet in tight areas are unbelievable. I sometimes think, he's got 3 players around. How's he getting around out of this? And he does. And he, when Arteta gave him the armband, I know we've said this on the show, I think after the Community Shield, when Arteta gave him the armband, I don't think we really got it because Declan Rice screams captain, doesn't he? Maybe Odegaard doesn't, but I totally get it. Like, I totally get how on the pitch Martin Odegaard is doing and instructing and setting a tone that a captain should, that everyone else should rise to. And even against Man United, I don't think he was at his best. I said on this podcast, I said, I didn't see this amazing performance that everyone talked about against Man United. But what could we all fall back on was incredible work rate and still a base level 6 or 7 out of 10 performance, and that is what at least a captain should give you. I'm a huge fan. I just want to. Do you want to jump in on the Odegaard?
Yeah, just jump on a couple of things there. Leads by example. I think that's why he's a captain. And I am with you. I don't think it was one of his best games yesterday, but he was the one that he had a great shot, which Pickford saved. Well, not great shot. Should have probably done a little bit, but he got into the position with a great little bit of work.
Lovely.
And the other thing is, I realised yesterday that the press and everybody don't like Arsenal because they put all the marks out on Sky. If you ever look on Sky afterwards, like I was reading it on the way home yesterday. And I thought, I'm with you, Jordan. If you said to me, pick a man of the match yesterday, I thought there was fantastic defensive performances from our 2 central defenders, but I expect that from our defenders. And if you said me was a man of the match, I'd probably gone Odegaard. I thought he was the one kept it ticking when things weren't perhaps going. 6 out of 10 he got yesterday from the Sky things, and I'm looking at that and thinking, wow, everybody else got 7, and he got 6, and I'm scratching my head there and thinking, how has he just got a 6 out? I actually made the comment as we was coming out, Martin Odegaard's got 6 out of 10. Check it out on the Sky thing. I thought I couldn't believe that. He was worthy of at least a 7. And so I'm with you guys. I think that, listen, what I like about him is, and he's a manager, do you know what? He's a manager's dream. And I'll tell you why he's a manager's dream. Because if he doesn't play well, you're guaranteed to he's getting 100% out of him and work rate and all that. Now, everybody's going to turn around and say, like, the Roy Keanes of this world, well, that's what you expect, right? But that's what Roy Keane done. If he wasn't playing well, we'd give 100%. But not every player does that because they shy off. They maybe
they lose confidence. Sometimes pressing and hard work is a confidence thing.
Yeah, so they run around like I shy away from this or whatever. He just goes full tilt, whether he's playing well or well, or we'll go for it. And I think that's why he's the captain of this football club, because he leads by example.
Yeah, I completely and utterly agree. I want to ask you guys. I don't want to dwell on it too much, only because I think it is one of those where people will see it differently, including Arsenal fans. I've seen debated differently. Were we? I don't want to use the word robbed, but were we a little unfairly judged on that VAR decision on the offside goal for Eddie Nketiah? The rule states that any intentional action from the defending player that results in a player in offside position receiving the ball means he's not offside if the touch is deemed intentional. But then that's slightly subjective because Beto, who is intercepting a sideways pass from Gabriel, he has intentionally kicked the ball. He has intentionally blocked it in the direction of where it's gone, but he hasn't intentionally passed it to Eddie Nketiah. So it's a slightly difficult one to interpret. How are we all feeling about that?
I thought it was the right decision. Okay. And I'm prepared to be swayed on this one. I'm prepared to be convinced otherwise.
So am I, kind of. Like, I'm not here like, oh, Jordan. Like, I'm like, yeah.
I'm open to be convinced otherwise. I think it's the right decision. I think he's not where the ball's ended up. He's not intended the ball to go there. It's hit him and it's gone that way. So, and as I always do in these scenarios, if it's the other way around, if that's given, I'm fuming. So I've got to be fair. I think it was the right decision, but I'm not going to die on that hill. I'm happy to be convinced otherwise.
So it's a great point because I don't really know the rule, if I'll be really honest, because I've seen this before. Like, when I can't remember what game it was that someone went to tackle and the player hit the ball, and the player's completely offside. I can't think it was a European game. It's not been that far away, and they actually said it's a goal because he's gone for the tackle. Well, he's not intentionally gone to pass it out to that player, which I don't think you're ever going to do. You're not intentionally give a back pass to a player of the opposition. You're not intentionally going to do it. It's a mistake. I think that because he goes for the ball and it's not like it's just hit him and gone off. That's intentional. It just comes off you. He's made a motion to stop the play, which has been diverted it to our player. So as far as I'm concerned, as the rules of the game go, I believe it should have been a goal. I do, because he's intentionally trying to stop the player going. If it had hit him and he's just running back, I think it's not. But there is intention for him to stop the pass, which then goes into the goal. So for me, I do think that it's a goal. I've seen goals given for that reason, but this one was chalked off for not that reason. But again, like you guys, I'm it didn't matter at the end of the day. But when I pick up my phone and it says controversy by the headlines of it all like that, there's got to be something in it for them to say that, like, because it'd be very interesting to see what the so-called experts say today, like, you know what I mean?
Well, they'll defend. Of course, they'll defend it because the fact that we're slightly on the fence, a lot of us will tell you.
I think so. Would have contacted. I don't know if you got to hear the.
No, apparently Gary Neville was a bit bemused as to why it was disallowed.
Yeah, there was difference of opinions in that as well, like, and. You get your group chats and all that. I looked in there, and some are saying exactly what we're saying here now. Like, some are saying, well, it's a goal, and some are not. So I think it's more around the rule than that. What is offside these days and what ain't, like, what's handball and what's not.
Well, I just don't understand. This word intention. Okay, if Tarkowski's got the ball and he plays a back pass to the goalkeeper, he's not intending to pass it to the striker when he
exactly that.
So how do you judge the intention? Beto has very, very intentionally blocked that pass, and he knows it's only going one way. He probably thinks he's not going to get as much on it, and maybe he'll block it into someone in midfield or whatever. He's very intentionally gone to intercept that pass and send it the way it went. Just maybe not as hard, maybe not Teddy. Yeah, maybe he didn't think he'd get as much on it. He's gone to get a block. It's only going one way.
It's gone to get a block. Yeah.
He's not thinking it's going to go the other way, right? He's stuck a leg out very intentionally. Yeah, and he must know it's only going back towards my teammates. Yeah. Maybe not as much as only in that direction. So I think it's harsh. But and I do ultimately think it's the wrong decision and the wrong application of the law. But again, they need to adjust this law now. Again, we're going to see this all the time where you just realize it's just the writing of the law that's the problem. But it should be something around deflections and accidental touches, not whether he intentionally passed it back or intentionally. That's a totally intention motion. If it come off his knee, like if Gabriel played the pass and Beto was kind of standing there and it came off his knee and rolled into Eddie, I'd be more sympathetic. But then you also think that it was a sideways pass from Gabriel. It wasn't even a forward pass. So it's like all this stuff, when you just look at it, goes, this feels harsh. But then the Everton fans would rightly say, well, hold on, but we held a really good line and Eddie's offside and he's picked up the ball from an offside position. And we've been disadvantaged in that sense. So I can understand that argument to a degree, but I think we've been slightly harshly done there. But anyway, luckily it didn't matter. We're going to wrap up in just a sec, everyone. It is a shorter podcast this week. Apologies, everyone. We do have we've got a very special week. It's 2 podcasts this week. The return of the Champions League means we'll be reacting to hopefully a win against PSV, but win, lose or draw, we will be here and look ahead to the North London derby. So we'll make sure to give a lot of thought to a lot of thought and conversation to the North London derby in that podcast. So not as much to discuss today. Otherwise, plenty of reaction on the channel after that great win against Everton from Lee's fan cam. Tactical insight will be out, of course. Lee can't wait, I'm sure. Look how happy he is. He was telling me the other day he's the reason people watch it. We'll do a comment of the week, sort of semi-special on Thursday as well, and we'll actually dedicate some proper time to. We don't want to rush that kind of stuff. But just very quickly on PSV, we're gonna get some predictions in and just some very quick thoughts on how we're all feeling. And I've just been told by production, who's talking in my ear, very professional, that's how we run here, that it's going to be a live show on Thursday as well. So there you go. We love those. We can interact with you a lot better. Predictions for PSV and just kind of quick thoughts. Jesus to start. Some people are saying Ramsdale deserves that shot in goal for the Champions League. He's got us there. But anything else kind of on your mind going into that game, Lee?
Do you know what I'm going to say now? The Emirates is the only place to watch Champions League football in London. I'm buzzing for this game. I am buzzing.
We are so shameless. 6 years out of it.
I know, but
we're the only place to watch it.
It's the only place. Last year there was 2 places, but there's only one place this season. It's the Emirates. I am now. I feel like I'm a footballer playing for the Arsenal or a manager and whatever, because I am now got the Everton game out of the way yesterday, and now I'm really buzzing and looking forward to Wednesday. I'm really looking forward to. We're back in the Champions League. I'm looking forward to the music. I'm looking forward to different beer at the Emirates. You know what I mean? I'm looking forward to lots of different things going off it. But mainly, it's a Wednesday night. It's no Thursday no more. We're back in the champ, and I'm going to say I'm not ashamed to admit I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to this game, and I also think it's a good thing for us as well because. Like we haven't got the build up for the North London derby, like 5-6 days and start feeling ill. You know what I mean? We can look forward to this game and then move on to the Spurs game. So I'm buzzing for the Champions League music and everything, and I am really looking forward to this game. I'm not going to lie.
Me too, Jordan.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back in the Champions League, man. It's been a long time. It's been a club like Arsenal shouldn't be 7 years out of the Champions League. And I just, first of all, I'm excited as a football fan back in the Champions League. I'm just excited. So before I get to miserable Jordan, before I get to analytical Jordan, I'm just excited to be back in the Champions League with the big boys. My then thinking then goes to the game itself. And I mentioned in the last pod about the kind of the nous of knowing how to navigate Champions League football. And we were in it for 20 years, but we've been out of it for 7. So and Arteta's cup record, as we all know, isn't great. So I'm just really keen to see how he navigates this group stage, try and get it wrapped up as soon as possible. Look at it as a maths. You win your 3 games at home. If you can win one away from home and draw the other 2, you're through and probably top the group as well. So if we can get at least it's away, right? It's in London, isn't it?
No, we're
it's at home. Cool. Then 3 points. Shut up, James. 3 points. 3 points. Scrap all that. 3 points.
Someone accused him of being a Man United fan. You know what I mean? I'm actually now thinking maybe he's a Spurs fan.
Oh, that's worse. There's no need for
the
that.
return of Champions League at the carpet for the first time in 6 years, and he's like, "It's in France."
Is it away?
Yeah, well, I've just said, like, I'm looking forward to.
We got buying away. No.
Looking forward to this, like the only place you can see Champions League football in London is in France. Yeah,
I thought
how much he listens to me.
I thought you meant in general. I thought your general point was the season.
Puts me on mute, James.
Shut up. Let's start again. Looking forward to it, James. Looking forward to Champions League. Great to have back at the Emirates. First game of the group stage back at the Emirates. Really excited. And we've earned it. We've earned it. This is 2 years of hard work. We've earned it. Shut up, bloody hell. Anyway, you know what? I'm looking forward to it. Let's just move on.
Yeah. What we all didn't clock was Jordan spent this whole podcast thinking we just beat Brighton at home.
Well, who did we play yesterday? It was a great game at the Emirates. I thought we played really well. I'll tell you what, like, have a word with production, put a bit of money in, and maybe they'll cut that bit, like. But
that is brilliant. You were saying such great things and go, Lon's away, right?
Yeah.
Right. Oh.
But my summation is, I'm excited. And let's go off to a good start. We've seen groups before where the last couple of games it's tetchy and you have to win. Let's get this wrapped up as soon as possible. Let's qualify top as soon as possible.
I'm envisaging Jordan shamelessly at the Emirates on Wednesday night.
Can you imagine?
Scarf outside the ground. We're back, baby. Champions League.
The sort of thing he'd do.
I bought my ticket 2 hours ago. But
he's sitting in France going, where is everybody? What ain't happening here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know?
What?
Huh?
Yeah.
What's going on here? Like,
man.
It is in Lons, right? Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
No wonder the ferry was cheap or the flights.
Listen, I've been doing this podcast now. What? This is the second season or third season? Second season. Yeah. This is my second season. There's been 2 occasions where I've not watched the game, the full game, just the highlights. I've got this reputation now as a guy that watches the highlights, but that last answer is not helping my defense.
No,
I genuinely.
Jordan, can I just a quick confession? I've got a podcast where I just talk about football news for 20 minutes, and I was talking about a game, and I said on the podcast, I said I've done a Jordan. I only caught the highlights.
I saw it.
But then I ended up saying, the thing is, he's only ever missed like 1, maybe 2 games.
two games.
It's just ruined your rep forever.
Oh, man.
I actually said yesterday, because Dan's staying around, like, because we come back from Everton, and I said, should we watch the Jordans before we go to bed? Like,
what's the Jordans?
He said, how rude. He tightened up the notch on his belt. He thought something was going on, like, I said, no.
Right, next end of season, when we're doing end of season awards, they're now called the Jordans.
They're called the Jordans.
We're going to get a little award in the shape of Jordan, and we're going to have Jordan in a suit, and they're cool because you're probably the harshest. It's the Jordans, well-deserved awards. I look forward to that at the end of the season. It's been a pleasure, guys. Everyone, thank you for joining us on the Fourever Arsenal.
And on predictions. We didn't get predictions. Are we scrapping that?
No, we absolutely should have, but none of you chucked them in, and now I forgot. All right, quickly, 3-1 Arsenal. Lee.
No, so I'm bottom of night, so go on.
Oh, so Jordan should have gone first. Go on, Jordan.
Well, should have. I was going 3-1 as well. So 3-1 Arsenal for me.
Yeah, that's what I think. So I'll go 3-1.
I'm going to go 2-0 the Arsenal.
Okay, cool. So we're all going for Arsenal wins. We'll get Turkish's prediction in as well. We'll be back on Thursday for a live show after the Champions League match. Looking forward to that. Looking ahead to Tottenham, a massive, massive week. Of course, if you're listening to this on podcast platforms as well, we will obviously be uploading there very regularly. The show comes out on YouTube, but what were you laughing at?
I just had a thought, when we just Kaz has just put about the intro, his intro now is so appropriate when it comes out.
Okay, spoiler everyone. There is a new bespoke Fourever Arsenal podcast intro coming out. We spent some time recording it.
It's so appropriate now.
Oh, me?
It's so appropriate. Like, you know what I mean? It's just broadening it right out now. I just actually thought about it and go,
it's not helping me at all, is it? It's not helping me at all.
Once you see the intro, you'll know exactly what
you're all going to love it.
It doesn't just necessarily mean where he is. It just means everywhere now.
Everyone, it's been a pleasure. Big thanks to our amazing panel as always. We will be back on Thursday for a live show before these two get in a scrap. All right, see you in a bit.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.